Welcome to the Hollywood Scholar. I'm Jed Morgan. The next article I got here is from Bounding Into Comics, and it's about the Peter Dinklage situation that's still really going on. For those of you who don't know, like a week ago, Peter Dinklage came out in talking about the new Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs remake film that Disney is putting on from their old 1937 classic, I believe it was, and he's really slamming the project. He slammed Disney hard for some creative decisions. And I personally am not looking forward to Snow White even up front, partially because I'm rather sick of these endless reboots and remakes, especially the ones Disney does of old classics like Aladdin and Lion King did not do well for me. I think the only really great one out of those was Cinderella, and that was mainly because Kenneth Branagh, I think, is a very talented director and made it still interesting and a little new. And it was good. And Beauty and the Beast, I did enjoy only because Emma Watson was in it. Didn't really connect to it otherwise. But in Snow White, they are race swapping Snow White. And of all the race swaps in Hollywood, this one makes the least sense because a huge part of her character is the color of her skin. That is a huge major plot point. So race swapping her takes away a lot of the necessary features. Like her name, Snow White, literally means her skin is white as snow. So taking that away really just destroys the whole creative narrative and story and character in general. So I'm usually against race and sexuality swapping and gender swapping and whatnot in general. Create some original characters. It does attributes that major to a character do change, their personalities do change who they are to a certain extent, and so they're literally not the character that people have fallen in love with. But this one especially did not sit well with me because it's very important to the story. But Peter Dinklage actually had a different issue with it, where he's like, this ass backwards story about seven dwarves living in a cave, and it made it seem like they're Neanderthals or some shit. And he's like, have I done nothing to support my cause? So he was saying that Disney was doing a negative portrayal of dwarves in movies. And I have a few responses to that. It wasn't done in a negative light. They're magical creatures. They're not just like little humans. They're dwarves in a magical sense, so it's not even representative of him and his group of people. And his comments were not received well. Even woke people were like, wait, what? But Disney did come out and say, we're in talks with people of the dwarfism community, making sure that we're doing everything all right, and they're changing them to magical creatures, and I don't know what extent that'll take. Are they going to rename the movie? Is it just going to be Snow White, and then it's going to be like a baby dragons? I don't know. But magical creatures, saying it like that made it seem like they were changing who the dwarves, what they were in general. But some of the other famous dwarves in our current day society, a lot of other celebrities have spoken out about his rather egregious comments about the movie. And I just want to go over this article real fast. Peter Dinklage Snow White comment blasted by dwarf performers. He's trying to take roles away. Yeah, and dwarf performers, there's just not a whole lot of work for them. And so this was 7 new roles in a major film, and he literally just destroyed the possibility for them to be in it. And that's really disingenuous for someone who has fought so hard to be at the top of his game. He's a very talented actor. He's the top. Him and Warwick Davies are like the two standouts of the dwarfism community. So he's made himself the best and then like kicked the ladder out from underneath him by making it virtually impossible for anyone else to get dwarf jobs, or at least more difficult if it's now woke to include dwarves in a movie. And so all these other dwarf performers are like, fuck you, man, you're destroying our lives as much as blasting the movie too. But let's get into it. Despite Peter Dinklage's recent attempt to position himself as a progressive champion by rallying around the continued depiction against the continued depiction of Snow White, Seven Dwarfs companion as dwarves, another of other dwarf performers, including WWE star Dylan Hornswoggle, believe that Hollywood actors' commitment to being woke could threaten their livelihoods and ruin opportunities for others like them in future. And that's absolutely true. Being woke usually just destroys opportunities for other people. If you, like, actors in general these days can't pretend to be anything. Like, the Miss Marvel show is getting thrashed because one of the actresses, she's not Muslim. She's of Muslim Islamic heritage or Arabic heritage, but she's not personally a practicer of Islam. And so they're like, oh, why are you letting her play a Muslim character? They're still actors. They still get to pretend for a living, and that's becoming progressively less and less possible for actors to pretend for a living. And now it looks like you can't be a dwarf anymore. So that's just really disingenuous from him. British actor Chun Tan, who has starred as a number of Snow White's companions in various productions across England, told the Daily Mail that he felt Dinklage's comments were hypocritical, as a lot of my colleagues and myself rely on that work to get by, and it's just embarrassing your uniqueness, embracing your uniqueness, because when I played the part, they utilized their bodybuilding and other people's skills. And that's very good comment. So this is someone who actually played Seven Dwarfs regularly. So if anyone gets to say anything about those roles, it's him. And it's not demeaning. It's not a negative depiction of dwarves. They're rich as fuck. They're working class, and they're all great people. Like, the dwarves are great guys. And just saying, oh, it's ass backwards to say that they exist. It's like, there's no like dwarf racism that goes on in the story, so I don't get why it's negative. And when I'm playing the part, it makes me feel quite impressive, because I feel like the spotlight is on me and it's quite a magical experience, and just to be on stage, it really helps my confidence. Tan added, I think everyone who does it, they do it because they enjoy it. They wouldn't do it otherwise. I'd encourage Disney to stick to the original. So yeah, those are some very good comments. Someone who's like, it makes me feel special to be able to play a role like this, and that's a very good perspective for an actor to take just in general. Like, it's an honor. I'm so happy to be doing this. This is exciting. And that's how all Dinklage should be acting as well. It's like, I'm happy for the guys who got cast. It's not a negative depiction, so you guys have fun. That should have been his response, if any. Tan further noted his fear that if Disney were to ultimately abide by Dinklage's request, the dwarfic roles would be eliminated from widespread production altogether, as he believes it will be a knock-on effect, because other people would think it's derogatory to have a dwarf in a certain role. And yeah, that's just going to perpetually decrease the number of the dwarven roles out there, few as they are right now to even begin with. So yeah, and so it just goes into the comments of a few other dwarven actors who are talking about how hypocritical it is for him to say, it's okay for me to get roles, but if you depict dwarves in any other way, it's bad. And his role in Game of Thrones was a ton more negative than the Seven Dwarfs depiction, Snow White and Seven Dwarfs, because there was active, not racism, but there was definite derogatory comments thrown at him. He was discriminated against in Game of Thrones, and it was generally a negative life experience for his Game of Thrones character. Versus in the Seven Dwarfs, they're doing great, and they're not affected by other people. So if it's offensive for this and not Game of Thrones, it's just really hypocritical. He just likes money, and that's about as far as it goes for him. And these other actors are like, yeah, we like money too, so we're not going to hurt other people's chances because we realize they like to make money too. There's nothing wrong with this. And it's kind of, I know it's not exactly the same thing, it's not to the same degree, but in the Great Showman, like I hate to use the word, but the freak show he puts on is kind of important, because it depicts uniqueness as something to be celebrated. And by erasing these dwarven roles, they're getting rid of that special uniqueness. And I do think being unique is special to a certain degree. You're literally unique. And so by erasing all that uniqueness and saying it's offensive that you guys have this job, it's just really offensive to a lot of people who, don't really have a whole lot of options. And it's sad, but there are physical limitations that can't be ignored in situations like this. So yeah, just at the end of the day, it's very hypocritical, especially when he's done roles like this in Elf and in that movie he did with Gary Oldman, Gary Oldman was literally on his knees for the whole movie. Like, I feel like that one's a lot more offensive, and this one's a lot more offensive than Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. So he's very hypocritical. As long as he's getting paid, he doesn't care. So if he was probably one of the main dwarfs, he wouldn't have a thing to say about this. So just another Hollywood adult pretender opening his mouth and talking about things he doesn't rightly understand, and just causing a lot of problems for other people instead of, doing things right. And it's really disappointing to see. Anyway, that's all I have for today. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you on the next video. Anon. If you like what I do here and want to see good, compelling stories that Hollywood will no longer give you, check out my book series, Odyssey of a Phoenix, a mythological epic about philosophy, morality, and modern-day mental illness issues. Books 1, Down in Flames, and Book 2, Apocalypse Then, currently on sale. Book 3, Kill the Dark, coming soon.